my daughter and I, we're actually in London, and we were just cruising around, just enjoying life, seeing things, but also just sensitive to what we were doing and why we were there. So we walk into Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Faith Ann was much younger then, and we get seated on this aisle. It wasn't like a table seating like this, it was like a straight aisle. And a man sits down right next to us, and he has FU spelled out on both sides of his hat. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my. The guy was rough. I mean, he looked like a gangbanger. And again, I'm talking about being led by the Spirit of God versus our carnal thinking. And I know immediately that the Lord wants me to talk to him and to witness to him. But I don't want to. But all the pressure's not on me. It's the Lord's. And so I'm arguing with him. But I'm literally like about to throw up. There are some people that are witnesses that it just seems so natural. Well, it's so natural because they've just done it a lot. So I'm watching for an opportunity. I'm sure I'm probably sweating and thinking this guy, I don't know what he'd say or do. But anyway, he's on his phone and he's just like nonstop. I mean, he is just like this. And finally he pauses for a minute. And I said, hey man, what are you doing on your phone? And his response was so mind-boggling that it still amazes me. But he says, I'm interviewing doctors. I don't know about anybody here. Some of y'all probably knew that's what he was doing. But you could have given me 10,000 guesses and I wouldn't have gotten interviewing doctors. Well, if you know anything about our practice, especially back then, we have a lot of physicians that we manage their wealth. And I know myself and I know how I think. And my normal response in the way Bo thinks, I would have said, hey, you know what, we have a lot of physicians in our practice or something like that. But again, it's just the sweetness of the Lord where you're at and how he wants to specifically touch somebody's life. And, we have a free will to listen. He that has an ear, let him hear. You don't have to hear, or you can hear and not obey. But I heard and I spoke, doctors see a lot of death, don't they? Now, in a million years, that's just not what I would have come up with in my daily activities of life. But I said, doctors see a lot of death, don't they? And for the first time, he laid his phone down. And he said, I've never thought about it. But I guess they do, don't they? And then I just said, what do you think happens after you die? You think that's not a layup? I mean, here's a guy who I had fear of from a carnal perspective, like this guy could just punch my lights out and tell me what this hat said, But he said, I just don't know. And, the scripture says that man looks on the outside, but God, he looks at the heart. And I shared Christ with that man. And I would love to tell y'all, he fell to his knees and accepted Jesus right there. But I talked to him for probably 30 minutes. Told him what Jesus did, why he did it, what it accomplished. I didn't tell him how bad he was. I told him how good Jesus was. And then I said, can I pray for you? And, I prayed over him. And we had run out of tracts just a little earlier, but I just told him, I said, you see the intimacy of the Lord? That he would send a country bumpkin from East Texas across the pond to a Kentucky Fried Chicken to tell you how special you are to the Lord, that you're made in His image, that He sent His Son, He died for you, your sins are paid for, He loves you with an everlasting love. You know, and I just thought, I went out of there whistling Dixie. I was the one that was encouraged.